Oh, that's my reward. Good morning. Welcome to the Treasure Coast Unitarian Universalist Congregation in Stuart, Florida. Today is Sunday, March 16th, 2025. My name is Pat Burt, and I am your worship associate today. We are a welcoming congregation. We welcome people of all gender identities, ethnicities, ages, and backgrounds. We're also on YouTube. To be put on our email list or to find out more information about us, Google TCUUC to find our website. Note the email link to request our online Friday newsletter. And now is the perfect time to silence your cell phones.
Could you speak into the microphone?
I think I am.
Yes, she is. She is, David.
I'm not picking it up. Go ahead.
Okay, if I get any closer, I'll be eating foam. Do we have any visitors? Do we have any visitors today? Anybody visiting? I see some visiting people because you have those little sticky things on you.
It was not wonderful. Okay,
Okay, okay, Janet.
We are delighted to have Jerry's first husband, Charles, and his wife, Joanne, with us. And they said they will just, I'll point them out and they won't go to the microphone. They're from Ohio.
Yes, go Buckeyes. Oh.
They have just been down in the Keys, and then they came up and spent a couple of days with us.
Oh, gosh, that's wonderful. Whereabouts in Ohio?
Near Toledo.
Oh, okay. Dayton. Okay. Okay, anybody else visiting? If you're not too shy, we'd love you to come up to this mic and introduce yourself, explain yourself. No, introduce yourself. You don't have to explain yourself. But we can't hear you unless you're at this mic.
Oh, I think people will be able to hear me.
Wow.
Is that good? Good for everyone? Yes. Oh, YouTube, okay.
Yes.
Am I going to be a YouTube star?
Don't bet on it.
Okay. Well, good morning. My name is Mark, and I'm with my wife, Jane. We're here from Montreal, Canada.
Our 51st state.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That means a lot to me.
Yeah.
And we're here because of Scott and Joanne, our dear friends that we met cruising a couple of years ago. Just our paths crossed quite by accident, and they've become dear friends since then. And that's it. We've come down to launch our boat and head off on a cruise in the Bahamas, and for a few months. And that's really about it.
Fantastic.
Do we need a crew? Are you good with diesel engines? Okay, you're on. All right.
Thank you
Thank you very much for the warm welcome. It's
yeah.
appreciated.
Wonderful. Welcome. Other visitors, please. And put the mic in your mouth. I mean, near your mouth.
My name is Maureen Connolly. I'm visiting relatives in Stuart. I'm from Western Maryland, which is across the bridge from West Virginia, and tri-state area of Maryland. And we have a small Unitarian fellowship in Cumberland, and I've been involved with that for about 5 years. And I was delighted to find out that there was a Unitarian church in Stuart. I hadn't known that until last year. And Stuart is my plan B when I get tired of winter in Western Maryland and climbing the steps of a 100-year-old house. I'm moving to single level in Stuart. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. We're so glad you found us. Any other visitors today willing to step up or at least raise your hand? Okay. Oh, good. Okay. Can you shout out a name or would you come to the mic?
I'm Allie, and this is my fiance, Karina.
Hi, Allie and Karina. Welcome. Don't be strangers. Anyone else? Oh, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kathleen Clark. I currently live in White City, and for those of you who don't know, it's exactly between Port St. Lucie and Fort Pierce. I think sometimes they should call it Fort St. Lucie, rather. And I am very glad to be here today. I came more than I thought a couple of weeks ago, and I am glad to be back here among people who know how to think.
She nailed it. Thank you very much. Welcome. Anyone else with a sticker and not a permanent name tag? We're coming for you. Okay. All right, thank you. A couple of announcements. I was told there's a basket somewhere out in the narthex. I can make a basket for those of you who don't want to waste a stamp on your pledge form. It's greatly appreciated in the basket or in the mail. This congregation and its building has lots of activities going on. Many of them are listed in today's order of service and on our website, on our Friday newsletter. Some of them have to be signed up for on the round table in the entrance. Today, after our coffee and cookies directly after the service, a very important and popular monthly group will meet in here. It's a post-election support group for thinkers. Another important event that has been happening since COVID shut down is our twice-a-month brown bag lunch, first and third Tuesdays. The third Tuesday brown bag is coming right up in 2 days, and we meet at Poppleton Creek Park, right up the road, adjacent to the dog park. This Tuesday is a time to be there at noon with your lunch. On Sundays at 10 a.m., there's a meditation gathering for about 20 minutes of silence and guided meditation, alternatingly led either by Karen Olish or Ken Teixeira. A big thank you to those who help in the service today. Jackie Robbins on cello and Sandy Craig at the piano. And our little choir, which we want to be not so little. If you can carry a tune at 10:30 in the morning, we need you to show up for practice at 7 o'clock Wednesday evenings. Believe me, we really need you. Our tech elf is Karina Poloni here in the back room, and our tech support is the amazing Rachel Valentino with backups Stan and Alistair Forrester. Our hospitality team today is Joanne Leone, Margaret Gregory, and anyone, have I forgotten? Greeters are Judith Watt and David Gray, and always Janet Grote is wandering around out there, tucking everybody in, and Shari Louise is handing out our bulletins. Our own Reverend Bob MacDonald is in the pulpit today, and here is our prelude.
I would like to play for you, and I need to enunciate because I've been told that I mumble by Fred. In any case, I'd like to play for you a gigue to begin honoring the country that has brought us more than Guinness, and it's sort of like a jig, but this is from Johann Sebastian Bach, from a couple hundred years ago. And it's a dance.
You newbies, see what you've been missing? I forgot an important announcement. One of our most important and beloved and popular events has a sign-up sheet in the entrance. John Morn and the Stubborn Bastards, his group, will be performing on Friday, May 2nd at 5 o'clock in Heston Hall. Now hear these chalice lighting words from the back of our hymnal by Leslie Pohl Cosbo. Flame of fire, spark of the universe that warmed our ancestral hearth, agent of life and death, symbol of truth and freedom. We strive to understand ourselves and our earthly home. My opening words this morning come in part from a little book of Native American wisdom edited by Kristen Marie Clary, and in part from my own journey on this earth. First, the words by Mohawk writer Peter Blue Cloud. Will you ever begin to understand the meaning of the very soil beneath your feet? From a grain of sand to a great mountain, all is sacred. Yesterday and tomorrow exist eternally upon this continent. We natives are guardians of this sacred place. Now for my own awakening about my relationship to this earth. 22 years ago this week, excuse me, my late husband, Joe, and my son, Chris, and I were renting a condo on South Hutchison Island during the month of March, as we had for many Marches before, for the purpose of attending New York Mets spring training baseball games, which is where I'll be this afternoon. I had told my husband we needed to find our retirement home now before we were permanently priced off that lovely island. While riding our rented bikes, we saw a for sale sign in front of a little rundown duplex in a little neighborhood behind what is now Beachfront Man Realty. We grabbed the closest realtor who got us into the needy but sturdy little place. We thought, excuse me, we thought we needed to take a little time to make this big decision, so we asked her to show us some other places on the market. We hurried her through several condos in lovely causeway complexes and oceanfront high-rises, all the while being scared to death that someone else would see the potential we saw in the grubby little duplex. The realtor, of course, aiming to please, helped us with the purchase just a whirlwind 12 days later. She then asked us why we were so certain about our choice. I told her that in that short period of time, in those lovely places off the ground, that I had discovered something fundamental about myself. I need dirt. My physical connection to the ground is apparently a core part of who I am. Shortly, we'll learn what a specific place on this earth has meant to our pastor. A beautiful place I also know and love, West Virginia. Our first hymn this morning, for which you may stay seated or stand, is number 112, Do You Hear? Please be seated. Let us recite our affirmation. Find in your order of service the first verse we speak, and then we sing the second. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
like to mention, since I know we have a number of new people here, you sound like you use mostly, but I just want to call to your attention that our principles are on the back page of the bulletin. I'd also like to mention to my UUs who are here that just as we decided not to yell stones, stones to people moving the stones up here because it sounded like we were supporting stoning, let's not yell at new people as we greet them what they are to do if we think they aren't doing what they are to do. Let's just greet them. Okay, do you want to throw a stone now? No. All right. The reading I used a number of times. I find it so applicable. 568. The mic closer? Yes, feel free to yell at me what to do. 568. Connections are made slowly. Sometimes they grow underground. More than half a tree is spread out in the soil under your feet. Fight persistently as the creeper that brings down the tree. Gnaw in the dark and use the sun to make sugar. Live a life you can endure. Make love that is loving. Live as if you like yourself, and it may happen. This is how we are going to live for a long time, not always. Thanks again to Marge Percy. This is our time of joys and sorrows. We invite you to share yours and hope that you know you are heard and supported. We ask that they be brief and personal, and not you know what. Bill Falk. I was called on Wednesday and told he probably has an hour, maybe he has 6 hours. Please come. That was Wednesday. Well, he's had now, I think, about 96 hours, and he is in quite a lingering dying process at hospice house now, taken there from home. All I can say is we hold on to Bill with vibes, with prayers, with our thoughts. I keep telling him that, although he can't respond to anything. And of course to Geraldine and Chris, who is here, Chris, their son. Their other son and his sisters flew in from California, and they thought they would be here for a service, but they have flown home because, as the nurse said yesterday, Bill has a strong will. It might not be working, in his favor right now, but we sure love him and wish him only the best. Bill Falk. Well, that was personal but not brief, but you know what to do. Come to the mic and share if you will.
Hi, I'm John Morn. 5 years ago today, I moved to Port St. Lucie and discovered a few months later this church. We moved because of global warming from Fort Lauderdale, where we lived about 3 feet above sea level, partially. So it's comforting to know I'm higher above sea level, but it's also comforting to be a part of this wonderful congregation and to see it thriving and see the music growing. And so I want to thank you all for making me a part of what we all do. And thanks.
You are family, John. Anyone else? Yeah, Scott was in the hospital, but he decided to leave it and come here.
Yeah, lots of joy today. One, joy of John Cook and Judy Bajoris sending me to the right place to get some really needed and wonderful medical care. Spent much of last week at St. Lucie Hospital, and things are much better managed today than they were last week. Another joy that I have, Jane and Mark visiting us, always a joy in our lives when they're here. And just to be here, thank you.
And we hold on to your nurse also. Where is she? Oh, there you are, Joanne.
Good morning, I'm Judith, and this is a hello to Deb and Francisco, who I think have made the decision to move way south. And they've got the house on the market, they're packing up, and they're going to be gone out of cold, cold Connecticut. So wish you Godspeed, Deb.
We sure do. Deb was a big part of us. She left here to go to a place that she thought was safer for undocumented, which Francisco has been. They've been married in Connecticut, but they're still wanting and needing to move to a safer place. So I believe it's Panama. Yes, Bob, are you coming to the mic?
This last week, I went down to the VA hospital again and went through some extensive testing again, and I am still completely free of any cancer cells.
Good. Good to hear.
And also, I found a vehicle that I really liked. It's a plug-in hybrid, and so I bought that and got rid of my other one, traded it in. So I'm pretty happy with the new one.
Anyone else?
I opened up the TC Palm email, and I immediately saw Regina and Colleen as part of a march down to Mass's office. And Colleen looked like she was having somewhat of a conversation with him. We'll have to find out how that went.
Anyone else? Then we always move a stone for people we don't say out loud, but we know most of us carry somebody that we worry about, care about, and we want to talk about. You want to come up and speak?
Only if I come with her. Okay? Get to the microphone. What do you want to say? What do you want to say?
I have a song.
Okay, put it on the microphone so everybody can hear you.
I have a performance.
Okay, you said you have a sorrow. What is it? We'll talk.
For you.
What? Erison said she has a sorrow that she wanted to share. What is it? No? Okay, we're happy now. I have a feeling it's
Glad you're
because she
here, Colleen.
hasn't seen her sister in a while, Rhiannon. She's moved out and she's with her boyfriend's family, so I think that's what that was.
Now, did we move that stone for folks we haven't said out loud? Let's do that. And this meditation is from the back of the hymnal by Sophia Lyon Foz. It matters what we believe. Some beliefs are like gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. Sophia Lyon Foz. And now moments of silence. Now the hymn is 123, Spirit of Life. We hum it once and then we sing it together, standing or sitting. Now is the time of our offering. We hope you experience generosity here. We need you to share some of yours so we can keep going. Let's see, I know I've got 2 volunteer ushers. I know I do, I just don't know who they are yet. Here's one volunteer, is there another? Okay, 2 Johns.
For some music for the day, I would like to invite everybody to please, if you feel like it, hum or sing or whatever, and if anybody reads music and doesn't know the words, this is Danny Boy from the land of St. Patrick. And I'm going to ask for some help from some of our choir, especially Shari, who has provided me with a copy of some music. So if anybody would like a copy, I have an extra copy here, and I'm going to just start playing this beautiful tune.
Can we just do it, Jackie? Let's have it.
With feeling. And gently.
Thank you. I just want to mention that I'm Scottish. I also want to mention, I've never had to do this before, I don't think, but I really don't have a sermon this morning. The week was such that I could not find the time or the composure. I have stories to tell, so you know I've always got stories to tell, but I don't have a sermon, so I hope you somewhat enjoy my stories. I had to do this once before in West Virginia. I had this circuit of 3 little churches that could only afford the likes of students. And I just couldn't have a sermon that week. And I told the folks that, and that I would read them a couple chapters of St. Augustine's Confessions. And I did. But not the chapter that became my favorite, in which he prays, "Lord, I want to be chaste, but not yet." Anyhow, the good folks understood, and it only happened, I think, once, but now it's happened again. How I got to West Virginia. My family didn't know anything about college, and I didn't have any idea how I would afford it. So I looked up colleges where I could work as a part-time minister. Oh, those poor people. And it worked. I went to college, could afford the first year in a dorm, and then in the second year, third and fourth, I lived in a little parsonage in a little town called Rockford, outside of Lost Creek. And there were 3 churches that I ministered to mainly on the weekend, and I had to get from one to another to cover 2 in the morning and sometimes 2 in the morning and one in the evening. I thought I could do that. I guess if I didn't think that, I would not have done it. But I had a church about the parsonage. Are we going to see the parsonage? I couldn't find a picture of me on the porch of the parsonage, so I found a picture of my young bride, my first wife. Is it going to come on? Okay. Well, we'll wait for it. Anyway, my daughters did some archaeology last night. I couldn't find the picture I wanted of me, 19, on the porch of this first house that the Methodist Church has provided all through my career. They found a picture of their mom, my first wife, my college sweetheart. We were married for the last year of college. And I told Karina I don't have permission to have her picture on the wall of my church. So my kids sent me a picture of my face in the last year of college. So if it gets up there, it's going to be my first wife in her graduation attire, which was very much like mine, and my face. She's deceased now. I think she would forgive me. I hope. Anyhow. All right, that laughter is enough. But that's the parsonage. And it turned out to be a modest house with a couple bedrooms, an indoor bathroom. There were a number of houses that didn't have an indoor bathroom. And in my community, there were fairly well-off farmers who had houses with all that. But this house was wonderful for 3 years. And then I was married in the last year of college. I didn't have a car when I needed to start the churches. So a woman in the kitchen of the college where I worked in my first year loaned me. I had taken driver ed in high school because I thought it would be a good idea, even though my family didn't have a car. So I took driver ed. I also took typing, although I didn't have a typewriter, thinking in college I will and it would be a good idea. So this lovely person in the kitchen loaned me her 53 Chevrolet automatic, and I had to practice on it a bit, and then I passed the driver test. And then in spring of that year, I bought a 55 Volkswagen Bug, my first car. And if you knew anything about the old Volkswagen Bugs, there was a reserve tank which had a gallon of gas in it. And there was a little flipping thing under the dashboard. When you were out of gas, you knew you had a gallon by flipping that thing, and you knew what you better do at that point. So that car lasted me about 4 months because between churches one Sunday morning, I took a corner of a wet road too quickly, and I rolled into a garage on the side of the road. Before an ambulance took me into Clarksburg, I said to the owner, "I'll build that wall when I get out of the hospital." And I didn't know any more about that than I knew about being a minister at that point. But when I got out of the hospital, I got mortar and those bricks, those big blocks for a garage wall. And there I was. So anyway, I guess I didn't have to put in a claim. From the time I got to this little house in West Virginia, there was a concern about my marital status. The concern was that young men needed a mate. The guy before me, who was a student at the college and had then gone on to seminary, so the place was available for me. He had married a young woman from that community. About a block away was a family with a lot of daughters and a son, And I was invited to dinner there a lot. Someone had told me that if I had a girlfriend at home or at college, it would be best if I not mention that, only because I might want invitations to dinner. And I did, and I got quite a few. There was a young woman in the community, in the church, who was, I think, mid-20s. And I was made aware of her more than once by people who thought, I should look into this young woman. I mean, I was invited to the home a few times. She was very nice. She worked in Clarksburg, and we were just cordial to each other when I went there for dinner with her parents, who were active in the church. I remember this because a traveling evangelist was related to that family. And he stopped at the parsonage when he saw my car there once, and he came in to introduce himself and tell me that he conducted services, rallies in the area, but he wasn't trying to steal any sheep from me. He wanted me to be sure of that. And then he mentioned that he knew that family with the 25-year-old really well. And he said to me, you know, there's about a 6-age difference between you. And that's a good thing, because you can probably plan on dying at about the same time. Now, I didn't have the wherewithal to tell him that that really was not on my mind at that point. And marriage wasn't either, but I thought that was a curious fact of life, I guess. I was really kind of an innocent abroad in that situation, in that farm community. I was from downtown Troy, the projects area. I didn't know a thing about the area I was moving to. I went to visit a home about a block from my front door, and there were 2 cows on the steps leading up to the porch. 2 cows. And I went back to my home and called the house and said, I came to your house, but there were cows there. And I didn't know how friendly they were. And unfortunately, I added, I didn't know if they were cows or bulls. That got all around. Our new preacher doesn't know the difference between. Well, in the church, I learned a lot about bull and bulls. The postman was a local farmer with a truck, and he did butchering. And often when he saw my car at the house, he would put a package of freshly butchered meat in my mailbox. So I was sure to get it so it didn't spoil. So that was a perk of being a young minister in the farming community. The people were really warm and welcoming for sure. They used to say, Brother Bob has funny ideas, but he has a wonderful appetite. And I got fed a lot. Now, one of the things in the back of my mind, I think there are some people here who have taught in communities with a lot of farming communities around. In the back of my mind, I've wondered, what in the world has happened that there is such animosity between the coasts and between the coasts? I just don't understand that. How did the divide get so bad? When I went to this community from the college, I started in '63. JFK had carried West Virginia. I think there was questioning about how he carried it, questioning that possibly family money contributed to that. I didn't know, but I had heard that. Now, for decades, West Virginia was represented by fairly prominent Democrats. Robert Byrd. Do some of you remember Robert Byrd? I think at about age 100, he could recite the Constitution from memory. And there was another one named Jennings Randolph, who served many terms in the Senate, a Democrat. The other one I remember is Jay Rockefeller. He was the only Rockefeller, I think, who was not a Republican. And he was senator and governor. And there was a time when he was deciding what to vote, what job to take next. He became the president of the college after I was there, Jay Rockefeller. Now, just a few other things. I was interested in growing vegetables. I didn't know a thing about that, but at the time, I saw a lot of gardens around, and I saw a lot of vegetables. And a little old lady who was probably about 50 across the street invited me in for zucchini pie. Zucchini pie. So I wanted to grow zucchini. So I had a big yard around the parsonage, and I paid a guy to come with whatever that thing is that turns up the soil. And he did it where I asked him in the front yard. And the people told me later, Reverend, people usually start their gardens in the backyard. But anyway, mine was in the front yard. And I planted a small corner of zucchini. That zucchini took over the whole garden. I had other things, I'm sure, but basically I wound up with a lot of zucchini. So much of it went to this little old lady at age 50 across the street, and she knew what to do, and I got pie out of that. The people had what I would call a simplistic faith. I don't think they questioned a lot. It was biblical literalist. I drove to a number of church meetings, and I drove parishioners with me. And I remember one old farmer named Alvin saying to me, Reverend, did you bring a Bible? And I said, I didn't say it, but something like, I don't leave home without it. And then he said, can I hold it while you're driving? What do you think he meant by that? The first funeral I had was for an elderly woman, and her husband planned the funeral with me. And the only thing I remember him saying was, Reverend, I want this to be short and sweet. And then before the service started at the church, remember, Reverend, short and sweet. And when the service was over, he said, thank you, Reverend, it was. Now, short and sweet could have been the description of his late wife, but it's certainly indelible in my brain how many people want the service to be. The other funeral I remember in those churches was a 20-year-old for a guy named Little Jimmy. He was called Little Jimmy because I think he was Jimmy Jr. And he was eager to go to war, the Vietnam War. And he came home about 3 or 4 months later, death from malaria. So that was a memorable funeral because we were about the same age, and I was reading about the Vietnam War, but said nothing about that in his service. Okay, that's it. What did I learn? That people are good, basically the same. If you work hard, you get along in life, and I was trying to do that. I like the job. It's surprises and unpredictables, and you get joys and sorrows. Man, do you get joys and sorrows, great highs and great depths of pain. Like that reading of Russell that I share with you quite often, you soar and you crater with people because that's where they are, and it's your privilege to be with them. The main thing I learned was that I liked being in the ministry. And a few years later, I was deciding between an academic career and the ministry career and my enjoyment of that position helped me to decide what I wanted to be. And I'm still trying to learn how to do it. Thank you for listening to my stories, and next week you will have a sermon. I better promise you that, and I better deliver. Our last hymn. Oh, thank you. Thank you. We didn't have to do that. What is our last hymn? 20? Be thou my vision. Yep. And remember, after the postlude, time in the other room, and then for those who are staying, the circle out here on post-election support. Stand or sit, whichever. Please be seated. The closing words are from Theodore Parker. Be ours a religion which, like sunshine, goes everywhere, its temple all space, its shrine the good heart, its creed all truth, its ritual works of love, its profession of faith, divine living. Theodore Parker.
Mussels from Ireland. Oh, please.